Welcome, everyone. We're here to break down some of the seismic shifts happening in AI right now. I'm David.
And I'm Sophia. It's great to be here. We're looking at a story today that really shows how fast the rules of the whole AI hardware game are changing.
They really are.
Yeah.
And it's not just about, who has the fastest chip anymore. It's about these huge strategic moves happening at the very top.
Exactly.
So the central puzzle we're trying to piece together is this reported $20 billion deal involving NVIDIA, who are, let's face it, the monopolists in AI compute.
For now, anyway.
Right. And on the other side, Grok, a much smaller, super specialized competitor that's just famous for its speed. Our goal here is to figure out why NVIDIA would make such a massive, almost defensive move, and what that tells you about where the real money in AI is headed.
Well, to start, you really have to look past the price tag and just focus on the credibility of the person behind Grok. The threat isn't just some startup with a cool idea.
No, not at all. It's coming from Jonathan Ross.
The guy who basically invented the specialized AI chip in the first place.
Right. Let's unpack that, because it's so important. Jonathan Ross is the engineering genius who created the Google TPU, the tensor processing unit. When you hear about Google training these giant models like Gemini, or just how fast they can run things, that entire capability was built on his original design.
That's it. And he had this vision. I mean, this goes back to when he left Google around 2017. His whole intuition was that as AI workloads got bigger and bigger, general purpose hardware just wouldn't cut it anymore.
And the TPU was the proof.
The TPU was the proof. It showed that a custom chip designed just for those AI calculations could completely blow away the more generalized chips. That history, that's what makes Grok so scary to an incumbent like NVIDIA.
Okay, so that's the setup. Before we really get into the tech, just a quick word. Welcome, everyone, to TechDaily.ai. You can sponsor this podcast for just $25. Your message will be featured across major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and more. If you're interested, visit TechDaily.ai to get started today.
All right, so let's set the baseline. NVIDIA, they define the market.
Absolutely. Their chips are generalized compute accelerators. What does that actually mean in practice?
It means they're built for versatility. They can handle training new models, running inference, fine-tuning, reinforcement learning.
A jack of all trades.
A master of all trades, really. They do a bit of everything, and they do it really, really well.
But their real fortress, the thing that locks everyone in, isn't just the chip itself.
Not at all. It's CUDA.
CUDA.
Yeah.
Explain that, because it's more than just software.
It is. It's this massive standardized platform. It's the language that lets developers talk to every generation of NVIDIA's GPUs in the same way. All that existing code, all those engineers who know how to use it. You can't just switch to new hardware. It's incredibly sticky.
It's a moat.
It's the biggest moat in tech, arguably. More valuable than the silicon.
So if CUDA is the fortress, Grok built a very specific weapon to get around those walls. The LPU, language processing unit.
Right.
What's the fundamental architectural difference here? What makes it a threat?
The LPU basically trades all that generalization for a single-minded focus on one thing.
Which is?
Inference. It's not for training. It's just for getting answers from a model that's already been trained.
So I give the model a prompt, it does its thing.
It does a ton of matrix multiplication.
And it gives me an answer. That's inference.
That's inference. And the LPU is designed for something called deterministic execution.
Deterministic execution.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like it just means it knows exactly what to do and when to do it. No surprises.
Precisely. With a GPU, because it's juggling so many things, you can get bottlenecks. You don't always know exactly how long the answer will take. The LPU eliminates all that unpredictability. The data just flows through perfectly. For applications where latency is everything, it's a game changer.
So you're sacrificing the ability to train, which NVIDIA is amazing at, for this massive, almost unbelievable gain in speed and reliability for just getting answers.
That's the trade-off. Specialized efficiency versus generalized flexibility. And we know this model works at scale.
Because of the TPU.
Right. Ross's first invention proved it.
Yeah.
And now Google is selling its TPUs to other cloud providers, which just validates the whole market for specialized chips.
Okay, but here's the detail from all this that I just can't get my head around. The most surprising part.
The manufacturing process.
Yeah. Grok got this insane performance using 14-nanometer technology. We're in a world that's in a desperate race to get to 3-nanometer, even 2-nanometer chips.
And that right there is the ultimate proof of how good the architecture is. If your design is flawless, if the data flow is perfect, you don't need the latest, most expensive manufacturing. You can use older, mature, and much, much cheaper processes.
So it's not just a speed threat to NVIDIA.
No, it's a terrifying cost structure threat to their margin.
Wow. But wait, isn't being so hyper-specialized also a huge risk? I mean, what if the world pivots away from large language models to something completely different?
Oh, absolutely. That is the inherent risk. But the bet Jonathan Ross made was that the demand for LLM inference would be so astronomical for so long that it was worth it.
He bet that this one niche, just delivering answers fast, would be the most profitable part of the market.
And that gets us right to the money, the financial reality that forced this whole deal to happen.
I have to use the quote from Jonathan Ross here because it just says it all. You spend your money when you're training the models. You make your money when you're actually doing inference.
That one sentence is the key to this whole thing. Training a model is a massive, one-time capital expenditure. It's CapEx. You buy a mountain of chips, you run them for a few months, done.
And NVIDIA owns that CapEx market.
They dominate it. But inference, that's the annuity stream.
The recurring revenue.
Exactly. It's operational expenditure.
Right.
OPEX. Every single time you ask a question, generate an image, make an API call that costs money, and it scales with usage. That's the long-term, high-margin, sticky revenue.
So the strategic risk for NVIDIA becomes crystal clear.
Completely. If Grok can prove that their LPUs offer way better price or performance just on inference,
Well, then every cloud provider, Amazon, Microsoft, you name it, would start building or buying their own specialized inference chips.
and that would squeeze NVIDIA right out of that recurring OPEX money. It will push them back into being just a cyclical hardware company that only sells for training. They had to make a move.
It's interesting, though, that Grok actually tried to sell chips at first, right?
Right.
Like NVIDIA does.
They did, and they ran smack into the CDA wall we talked about.
Right.
It was just too much for companies to switch, setting up new servers, learning new software. It was easier to just stick with the NVIDIA ecosystem they already knew.
So they pivoted.
A brilliant pivot. They
Yeah.
stopped trying to sell the hardware and just started selling the result, raw speed, directly through an API, the Grok Cloud.
And that proved the demand was there.
Great.
Which brings us to the deal itself. Because, as you said, this wasn't a straightforward $20 billion acquisition.
No, not at all. This is where the legal side gets really clever.
So what is it?
It's a non-exclusive licensing agreement for Grok's technology and IP, and the structure is almost certainly designed to avoid antitrust regulators.
Ah, okay. If NVIDIA just bought their biggest emerging competitor outright.
The alarm bells would go off everywhere, would look incredibly anti-competitive. So this aqua licensing, as it's sometimes called, is a way around that.
So what did they actually get for their money if they don't own the company?
Two things, the most important things. They got the intellectual property, the blueprints for the LPU architecture, and they got the human capital.
The people.
The key people, Jonathan Ross, his president, Sanani Madra, and other core engineers are all moving over to NVIDIA to scale up this technology inside their ecosystem.
And Grok itself.
Grok, the company, keeps operating. With the new CEO, their cloud service continues. But, NVIDIA basically got the crown jewels, they got the IP and the master builders neutralizing the threat without officially killing the company.
That is a very clever move. It's both defensive to stop the bleeding to specialized chips like Google's TPU, and offensive.
Exactly. Now they're ahead of the trend. They have more variety in their toolbox. It forces them to admit that a one-size-fits-all chip isn't the future.
But how do they actually integrate this? I mean, Grok only sells inference as a service. NVIDIA only sells chips. They're opposite business models.
The most likely path is something we'd call a package play.
Okay.
NVIDIA uses its massive sales channels to start selling Grok's specialized chips directly to its existing customers. They go to a big client and say, look, buy our best GPUs for your training.
The big CapEx spend.
And for your day-to-day inference, the OPEX. Buy these super fast, super efficient LPUs, the best of both worlds from one vendor.
That makes perfect sense for the customer. But we keep coming back to the same problem.
The software.
The CDA mode. For that package play to really work, the LPU has to feel like just another part of the NVIDIA family.
Absolutely. And that is the final, most critical step. NVIDIA has to extend CDA to seamlessly support these new specialized chips.
So one software layer, one programming model that can run both their general GPUs and these specialized LPUs.
If they pull that off, it solidifies their dominance for another decade. They stop being just a hardware company and become the undisputed platform for all of AI compute.
So to recap for everyone listening, what we've seen is a story about a market leader, NVIDIA, paying a massive premium to get a specialized technology.
A technology invented by the same person who created their biggest existing threat, the Google TPU.
Right. And they were forced to do it because they realized the real long-term money isn't just in training models, the CapEx, but in running them every day, the recurring OpEx stream. And they pulled it off with a really clever legal deal that gets them the tech and the talent while trying to stay under the radar of antitrust regulators.
It's a move that has totally redefined the battlefield for AI chips. And, I want to leave you with one final thought on all this.
Go for it.
We talked about how Grok achieved this incredible speed using old, cheap 14-nanometer hardware. So what happens to the price of AI compute and to NVIDIA's incredible profit margins? Once this super efficient, specialized LPU architecture gets ported over to the most advanced 3 or 2-nanometer processes, that's a potential price war for the future that nobody is talking about yet.
A really fascinating point to think on. Thanks for breaking all this down for us.
My pleasure.
And thank you for joining us. Catch you next time.